Welcome to your second exclusive video of From the Mind of Christine McConnell. Today I'm going to be doing some pretty unusual autumn decorating. If you look around my house currently, you will see that it is already pretty much geared towards this holiday, but I think there's a few sort of unique takes that I can put on it that will give it not such a typical sort of Halloween decorated look, which I love, but kind of more of like an ingrown or an overgrown House of Usher kind of haunted house feel. So instead of going to a hobby store, I actually swung by my local antique dealer and found a few kind of interesting treasures that I want to give my own sort of makeover to, while also respecting the fact that it is an antique. And then also I'm going to be tackling a few things that maybe I've done before, but I feel like I can improve upon those ideas, which is always something I love doing. So let's get going, and I think this is going to be a really fun episode. I quickly realized store-bought spiders were not going to cut it, so I decided to make my own using a base of pipe cleaners. To give them a more natural hue, I spray painted them first, and it also added a little bit of texture. I cut multiple lengths for each leg and then wound them around each other to create a tapered effect. So the legs were a little thicker, closer to the body, and then obviously tapered off to being as thin as possible towards the foot. I attached the legs with additional pipe cleaners by winding them around the base of each of them. Then once they were all together, I scrunched them together and used a few extra bands to sort of wind them around the entire body. I used a dab of 3-in-1 glue on the tips of the legs, the feelers, and the fangs, and then pinched it and sort of wound it around a little bit to create a really sharp taper. I bunched up a ball of aluminum foil and covered it with some synthetic fur. I wound several bands of pipe cleaners around that foil before adhering the fur to help it stick. I then used some of my fanciest hairspray to spritz onto the fur and comb it nice and smooth, but the truth is white rain probably would have been enough. I wanted to give the entire room a really creepy, haunted mansion feel and decided to hang Spanish moss from all of the trim and tops of the windows and doors. To do this, I hammered in some push pins every couple feet and then wound some invisible thread over and over and over again, probably about, I want to say 4 times for every section, and then was able to tuck in some Spanish moss in between those threads. I love a nice bright orange pumpkin, but for this room, I think I wanted something kind of older looking and maybe even sort of decayed. So I decided to paint my pumpkins with multiple layers of acrylic paint. I found this beautiful antique lamp and decided to paint a spider's web onto the glass shade. If you want to remove this at some point in the future, you can just use a little bit of nail polish remover. One of the most amazing gifts I've ever received was from Darcy Prevost, who was the set designer for the Netflix show. She gave me this amazing webcaster gun, and you essentially hook up an air compressor to it. It's a hot glue gun, and it's sort of how they achieve all of those creepy, like spider webs that you see at haunted mansions and even at Disneyland. I found these great spotlights at the local Halloween store and then used some colored cellophane, a little bit of that 3-in-1 glue, and layered it onto the front of the light to give kind of like a colored gel effect. I then set these up outside and strategically hung dead branches over the windows to cast some really eerie shadows.